Hello, and welcome to episode 2 of the Dragon Slayer of Brighton. I'm Vincent the Valiant, and today we're going to be talking about Wruenele The Destroyer. Or so he calls himself. So, shortly after the advert went up and everyone found out about my services, my work in this fine city, I got contacted by a so-called dragon named Wruenele. Now, it's a bit strange. I wasn't expecting to get contacted through email by a dragon, but one found me. Somehow, he managed to contact me. So that's really what we're going to talk about today. We're going to go through all the messages I received up to this point from Wruenele and my kind of interaction with him, because he has dubbed himself my nemesis, even though I don't really know who he is, and so he can call himself what he likes, really, until he shows his ugly face. Right, so we're going to play the first clip. So the messages, typically, what I would receive from Wruenele would be just the body and the subject would just be 3 dots and then a sound clip attached. Now the sound clip attached to episode 1 email, the first email was, "Dragon Slayer is my enemy." And it goes a little something like this.
Well, Dragon Slayer, it seems you have made quite a name for yourself. Some say dragons are not real, but both you and I know that I am very real. Soon, Dragon Slayer, soon.
So, yeah, that was the first message I received. And my response, as you could probably guess, was throat lozenge. Because, Jesus, that's a hard voice to keep up, isn't it? It sounds like you very much need to cough. So, well done, Wruenele. And, yeah, so a dragon found me. And that's kind of interesting, and I like that. That's fun. I like that they're finding me rather than me finding them. That's kind of, it makes my job easier. So, yeah, I like that. And so I, sent 2 messages back to, 1 message back, 2 words, throat lozenge, back to Wruenele. A day later, and I got another message. Again, 3 dots in the subject and the body, and then another sound clip. And the sound clip is called Dragon Slayer is Unwise. And it goes like this.
Do you seek to mock me, pathetic mortal? This would be unwise. Even now, I draw my plans against you.
So, I sent back a message saying, drawing your plans against me? Should I expect a tripod from Mars, or a dragon with a penchant for the overdramatic? Got any ridiculous demands, oh great scaly diva? But, seriously, throat lozenge? And, yeah, he didn't really like that. He came straight back with a message calling me insolent, the insolent Dragon Slayer. And the sound clip sounds like this.
Plans within plans, my stalwart little warrior. Killing my defenseless brethren for simple coin will not save you from my fury.
Yeah. So my response, typically as it's gone at this point, rather nonchalant. So I said, yeah, just get back to me when you're ready to show your ugly face so I can slice me a bit of Wruenele steak. Goes particularly lovely with some Mediterranean fried vegetables, I hear. And yeah, as you'd probably guess, he came straight back with another message. Well, actually, he didn't come straight back. He came back 2 days later with a message, which was this time entitled A Warning, Pathetic Warrior. And the message is called Humour as a Weapon.
More mockery, I see. Well, let us hope that your puerile humour can be used as a weapon when we meet for the first and the last time.
Yawn! Come on, Wruenele. Pick it up. This is just dull. Just show your ugly face. And I got this as a final audio clip.
2 humans will be taken for every one of my brethren you destroy. Eye for an eye, scale for a scale.
So yeah, it appears I angered him, and now he's threatened to take 2 people for every one I kill. Well, he can try. He hasn't popped his head up since then, and that was way back when, in June, that I received these messages. So, yeah. Although, I will point out, straight after he sent me that sound clip, he also sent me an email, which was a little message as well, which was strange for him, because he doesn't usually do that. The message reads, and I'll try and read this and in Wruenele's voice, so that we can try and get the sense of this message, but I don't think I'll pull it off very well, so... A plague has indeed crept into this world. That was terrible. But I'll continue, because... it's amusing. But it is not born of scale and cinder, like I or my brethren. Instead, it takes the form of a hardly qualified trembling knight. Let's see how you fare against an elder worm's eternal fury. All in good time, Dragon Slayer. All in good time. Should have done the voice all the way like that, but that's hard to keep up. So yeah, that was the last thing I heard, and I sent back my typical response, which was bored now, and I haven't heard anything since. But at the end of the show, I will be sending you a message, Wruenele, and if you're listening, please show your face. I dare you. But more on that later.
You've got some mail.
Chris. Hi. I believe there is a dragon living in my uni, and he is taking the form of my lecturer. Slay him, O mighty dragon slayer.
Hi, Chris. I've heard rumours of one of the nefarious beasts masquerading as a lecturer. What subject do they teach? Vincent.
Dear Dragon Slayer, I came across your advert and wanted to find out more about your services. I have a serious pest problem with dragons at my house. Now that the glorious British summer season is upon us, I would like to be able to enjoy my patio, but this infestation is going to ruin everything. I need your help, Dragon Slayer. I hope there is something you can do. Kind regards, Clumsy but cool.
Hi, Clumsy. I've now posted some rates on the ad as a guide. What sort of size are we talking about, and how many? Any distinguishing features about the beasts? I had to deal with a bunch of 2-foot-tall Compsognathus-style dragons last week that had taken up shop in a man's garden in Hove. Maybe some got out and have chosen your patio as their new hangout spot. They're small, turquoise-scaled creatures that walk on 2 legs and have no wings. They're like the puffins of the dragon world. Do these sound like what you're dealing with?
Jack. Hi there. You will not believe how long I've been looking for a reliable dragon slayer. I've tried a few guys before, but they've all wasted my time and money. One even had the nerve to tell me dragons don't exist. I know better than that, of course, but it really hurt my feelings. I saw the dragon with my own eyes last month on St. George's Day. I was walking home after a night out in Brighton town centre and heard a roar and felt the ground shake. I put the tremor down to my tipsy state and assumed the roar was a stray cat or possibly one of the many homeless people in Brighton. I continued on my path home when, all of a sudden, I felt a painful heat, almost as if I had walked into a fire. The ground shook again and I heard the roar above me. I looked up to see an enormous green dragon flying overhead. The air was hotter than I had ever experienced, not even in Spain. As quick as it had all happened, the dragon was gone, and after stopping to regain my senses, I flagged a taxi, ran to bed, and hid under the sheets. I don't really have experience with identifying dragons, I'm afraid, but it looks like the dragon from Shrek than the Chinesey wormy dragon things. I hope that helps. I can't help you with size or anything. The air was quite hot and it burnt my eyes after a few seconds, so I had to turn away. This dragon needs to be taken care of. I'm sure the recent heatwave was something to do with this dragon. I've tried speaking to Brighton Hove Council, who've told me to stop wasting their time. The same thing happened with the police. I'm not wasting their time. I don't see why they can't understand the seriousness of the situation. I couldn't even get the fire brigade to help. Can you imagine? That's their bloody job. I have a good feeling about you. I'm sure you're just the person I need for the job. If you could get back to me as soon as possible, I'm sure we could take care of the problem. Let me know if you need any more information regarding my encounter. Thank you.
Hello, Jack. That does sound like a truly terrifying encounter. I saw a green flash in the sky on Saturday evening and suspect this may have been caused by the same beast you speak of. Being green in colour and of such bad temperament, I suspect the breed could be Goblinicus furion. I could be mistaken, of course, but this breed can grow very large with a wingspan in excess of 80 metres. This will be pricey if this is the case, and at an estimate I would say around £18,452. I realise this figure is large, but they are notoriously hard to catch. The last was enticed by a knight wearing a tutu and dancing the Macarena, and then lulled into a false sense of security by a 24-piece marching band. I won't bore you with all the details, but it took several hours, and 3 bassoon players lost body parts. Nevertheless, I will do some more digging, and put in the preparations to capture the creature. I do accept payment in cash, PayPal, and Bitcoin. Vincent.
Ashley. Right. I've got this dragon that won't leave me alone, and she keeps setting my cat on fire and trying to get into bed with me. I need her gone. Now. She's rather large. Do you think you could deal with her?
Of course, Ashley. This sounds like a very tricky situation. Bitches be crazy. My rates are to be negotiated upon evaluation of the vile creature and her size. I should have time next week, say Thursday, around 2. P.S. In the meantime, just dress the cat in a banana costume. Dragons hate bananas. I think it's got something to do with the potassium. Vincent.
Ashley. The scaly bastard is rampaging through Hove now after breaking into my garden and melting my shed and power tools. It's a progressing problem. What are your rates for destroying a dragon of Hijikan descent? And how long will it take for the destruction process? My suspicions that the dragon is pregnant with minions are taking control of my rational functions. Ashley.
This does sound serious. I shall be with you on Monday to take on the beast, but if it is of High-Hackian descent, then the price will have to be £13,006. Or alternatively, 6 diamonds of the highest quality. In terms of pregnancy, just don't tell the anti-abortionists. Vincent.
You've got some mail.
Let's look into when I found Wruenele, and he is called Dragon Eternal Wruenele at outlook.com if you want to message him. There you go, you're out in the public domain now. And so people can contact him if they want. Any of my fans, tell him that I'm coming for him. But I did some research on Wruenele to try and find out where the name came from and find out more about this dragon that was announcing itself to me and, claiming to be coming after me, which is quite fun. And I typed it into Google, and what I found was one hit. I had a Google whack. Inadvertently, I had a weird Google whack. If you don't know what a Google whack is, then what are you doing? Go find Dave Gorman's Google Whack Adventure, either the book or the show, and watch it or read it, because it's excellent. And it explains exactly what a Google Whack is and his adventure in finding them. I did contact David Gorman, actually, after the Google Whack was found, but it's an unofficial Google Whack because Wruenele is kind of a name, so it doesn't really, well, it's kind of an amalgam of two things, so it doesn't really fit into the Google Whack structure. But nevertheless, it gave me one hit, and it gave me that in 0.17 seconds. Now, here's where things get slightly weird. The hit I got was to a site called chronictimes.com. And it was on about the return of the Anunnaki. I can't pronounce that word, it's really long. But it's about David Icke. And now, if you're not familiar with who David Icke is, he's been around for quite some time. He used to be a footballer, a sports commentator, and then he went a little bit mental during the 90s, and spouts about conspiracy theories of reptilian creatures that are ruling humanity. Starting to see a pattern emerge here? So, I did a little bit more digging on this actual thing and find out where the Wruenele thing came from. Now, the Wruenele name itself, it comes from, it's a dragon in mythology and folklore. And it's in 700 AD, the Anglo-Saxons settled and called it, they called it Wruenele. And the reason it's called Wruenele is Rune is worm or reptile or dragon, and El is hill. And so it's referred to as the Worm Hill Dragon. So according to the local folklore at Notlow, there was a lair of a dragon, and the terraces around it were made by the coils of its tail. Now, Notlow is an ancient volcanic vent, and this is probably what explains the myth, but maybe it's not a myth. Maybe it is Wruenele. Maybe he's just tired, living under a hill, asleep, bored, emailing me, and challenging me to a battle of some sort, but doesn't want to poke his big, scaly, ugly face out of the hill. So, you know, whatever. If he wants to come for me, he's more than welcome. But that's it. So, yeah, David Icke, he talks about the reptilian agenda and things like that, and it's really strange kind of crossover between me fighting dragons, which are very real in this city, and him talking about a conspiracy theory about reptilian creatures that are taking over and rule humanity. So, maybe he's got a little bit of a point. But I'm not claiming to be a believer in what David Icke is, well, spouting. So, let's just leave it there. Although, he does talk about shapeshifting, which is something I referenced in last week's show, about how dragons have the ability to mimic human behaviour to the point that we believe they are human, even though they are, in fact, a dragon. So, they're not really shapeshifting, they're just really good at mimicry. But, you know, I can see where he gets the shapeshifting thing from. But yeah, so there's a lot of dragon mythology to do with the David Icke thing. He talks about the Draco constellation a lot, which is where it kind of came from Greek mythology, but there's lots of kind of things to do with dragons within that. So it's a bit strange. Very weird. I'm not quite sure how those parallels came to be, and it's strange things that come out of this. I also found in my research a small note which says, let's see if I can find it. There was a small note I printed out which is about how one of the stories in the Alien vs Predator comic book, yeah, here it is. So one of the stories in the AVP annual anthology comic book, it reveals that the dragon killed by St. George was actually an alien as a result of a crashed Predator spaceship. Now, clearly that's fiction, but, you know, it's nice that they're drawing from real-world events to make decent comic books, so that's good. Now, what am I going to do? I have to do something about Wruenele, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to send my message back. So my message back is this. You call me a trembling knight. 2 things. I'm not a knight. I put on some armour and I started killing your kind because they were killing mine. While you lay there under your hill, buried under tons of dirt and the pressure weighs down on your brain, and you believe yourself to be all-powerful. You believe yourself to be almost omnipotent. Let me tell you, my hand doesn't tremble. I have been killing your kind. I have been training. With each one I kill, I get faster, stronger, better at doing so. I am very skilled. And I've been saving my people for a while now. If you decide to come out of the woodwork, then come and find me. I will be waiting for you. And I won't be trembling when we first meet. I can assure you of that. Right, so that pretty much sums that one up. And we'll see what he gets back to me with at some later date. I'm sure he'll come back with something. And it'll be interesting, I'm sure. But until then, we'll see. So, yeah. Today we're going to be cooking a lovely seared Wruenele steak on a bed of Mediterranean vegetables. The recipe couples steak so soft you could eat it with a spoon with a gorgeous garlicky dressing. You'll need 2 leaves of fresh thyme, 2 tablespoons of olive oil, 1 small garlic clove crushed, 3 tablespoons of virtually fat-free yogurt, 1 large red pepper half lengthways deseeded and cut into 8 thick slices, 1 medium red onion, cut into thin wedges, 2 medium courgettes, cut lengthways into 4 to 5 mm thick slices, and 175 grams of Wruenele steak. Put the thyme leaves into a mortar and bruise lightly with a pestle or the end of a rolling pin. Add 2 tablespoons of oil, some seasoning, and set aside. Mix the crushed garlic with a light salt to a smooth paste in a bowl. Stir in the yogurt and season to taste with salt and pepper. Heat a non-stick griddle pan or frying pan over a high heat until smoking. Reduce the heat to medium. Brush with a thin layer of olive oil now and then, and cook the vegetables in batches, turning once until tender. The peppers for around 15 minutes, the onions for around 6 to 8, and courgettes for around 2 to 3. Transfer to a baking tray as each batch is cooked, and keep warm in a low oven. Heat the pan to high, brush the fillet steak lightly with remaining olive oil, and season well. Sear for 3 minutes on each side for medium rare. Rest for 5 minutes, then slice. Arrange the vegetables on each plate and top with slices of steak. Drizzle with the thyme oil and top each with a spoonful of garlic yogurt. My suggestion for wine on this is an Argentina Malbec. It's easy drinking, black cherry character, and it's a real wow with this dish. So, that's about it for this episode of the Dragon Slayer of Brighton podcast. I've been Vincent the Valiant, and if you do want to contact me, you can always find me on Twitter. I'm on there. My handle is DragonSlayerBTN, and if you want to email me, you can email me at dragonbegone@gmail.com. You can find me at the website, which is therebedragonshere.squarespace.com. And I'm now on iTunes. The podcast is up there, so find it. Listen to episode 1, listen to this one, which you've already done, but yeah, listen to it again, why not? And subscribe. More importantly, subscribe to the podcast. There will be a new episode every week. Next week, we've got the boys from 1 in 5 in as a two-parter. So next week, we've got part 1 of my interview with those guys. Because basically we chatted for such a long time, I've had to split it over 2 episodes. But they're lovely guys, and you'll hear them on next week's podcast. Incidentally, if you want to find out who they are, they did the lovely theme tune at the beginning of the show and the little bit that goes at the end. But you can find them at oneinfive.com, and on Twitter they are 1in5. That's the digit 1 in 5 words and HQ at the end. And yeah, find them. The EP that they have is out now. We'll chat about that next week, and you'll find out all about what makes those guys tick. I just want to put a quick thank you out, by the way, to Jay of the band, who has mastered episode 1 and episode 2, and is my masterer and awesome studio guy that helps me do this lovely stuff and make it sound all pretty for you guys, which is nice. So yes, thanks very much for that. Thank you for Alfie Shaw, who gave me the voices. He's a wonderful Brighton comedian. He gave me some of the voices for the emails that you heard today. And yeah, just thanks very much for listening, and I will catch you next week on the podcast. But more importantly, before we go, do remember to be safe out there, because as we all know, there be dragons here.